It is Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John. That guy's Richard. Hello, Richard.
Hi, John. How you doing today?
I'm good. I can hear the bell of Tinkerball's collar. He must be in the room with you.
He's in the room here. He and his sister are playing.
So maybe you guys will get a Tinkerball's cameo.
I'm sure he'll show up.
In the meantime, we've got a good show today. Organizing your collection, something I'm horrible at and Richard is really good at. So you're going to get a little yin and yang here. We also have our underrated books of the week, 25-year rule for everyone who's ever argued over who's better, Marvel or DC. This one's for you. And of course, we're going to start with our hot book of the week. Richard, what is it?
Our hot book of the week this week is World War Hulk #1 from 2007.
Yeah, there's a new Hulk movie in the works, apparently. Lots of whispers about it. Nothing confirmed, of course. It's going to have to lay down a lot of groundwork first before we get to World War Hulk, because we have to introduce the Illuminati first, don't we?
Right. And that's why, this rumor came out. Mark Ruffalo has tried for quite some time to get a Hulk movie. He wants one very badly. The problem has always been Universal. Universal has the rights to the Hulk, and so far has been reluctant to make a movie. As Mark says, they just don't want to make money. And that's pretty much it. People will go and see him in a Hulk movie if it's made. So maybe this rumors indicates that Universal has overcome that fear of money.
I would hope so. I mean, what do they want? Ed Norton again? To be, maybe Courtney Love can be Betsy Ross. Oh, now we're talking. I would see that. Bruce, you're a jerk. That would be good. People seem to be picking this book up though. The last sale in the GPA though was in September for $100. What is this Aspen last sale you've got here? Is it Aspen Variant?
Yes, the Aspen Variant. It seems to be more popular than the A cover. The last sale for that was $375 this month. I'm sure that if we were to see a sale of the A cover in this month, it's going to be much more than that $100 sale.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them out there. Out of 422 slab copies on CGC census, 316 of them are 9.8. So.
Yeah. It's a little top heavy. There are also 9.9s in both the A cover and the Aspen variant.
Well, wow. Okay, so it's not a tough book. I think this was pretty heavily ordered. It was a big event at the time. And this is where we got the most awesome thing ever to come out of World War Hulk. And that was when the Hulk's title turned into the Incredible Hercules.
No.
That's the best thing that happened, trust me. All right, let's move on to our main topic before I get rid of Richard's feed. It is organizing your collection. How do you do it? Where do you start? This is where I need advice. I mean, I don't know. Richard, here's my deal. I've got my personal collection, alphabetized.
Alphabeticalized.
I can almost speak today.
I don't know. That word sounds like it should exist, actually.
Me, I'm English great. I've got them in short boxes. I've got them stacked up from A to Z, and I've got all my stuff that I want to sell in other boxes. Those are less organized. And then I've got like three short boxes of stuff I want to go get slabbed. So what do I do, Richard? Help me on, Richard.
Well, first of all, I use an iPhone app. It's also available for Android to keep track of the books in my collection. It's called CLZ. You can go to the App Store. You can download it for free. It is a subscription base if you want to keep track of the values of those books as well. It uses Go Collect to track the values of the books. Just warning, right now, Go Collect is going through a process of redoing their website, and the updates for their catalog for their price or values is not working correctly. We're hoping in the next couple of weeks that's going to be working again. But what's nice about that is you can take your phone and you can use it to scan the barcodes on your comics. It will then look up that comic, add it to your collection. You can add relevant information like what you paid for it, where you bought it, the grade of the particular book, whether it's slabbed, whether it's raw, all that information then goes into your uh, collection. And I use that all the time, because if I'm looking for a book, I can go to my app and see, do I already own that book? It's really really helpful when you go out to conventions and you're trying to fill your collection.
I used
So
to use CLZ and something happened. I don't remember what it was. They did an update or they started charging or something. And I threw up my hands at one point because a lot of my collection doesn't have barcodes.
yeah,
Uh,
that is
you
a problem. The older books.
Yeah. So, and then I was selling stuff at a rapid clip. So I would have it and I would scan it, the cover, and upload the scan in CLZ. I was actually really good. I think I still have my old CLZ database floating around somewhere on the cloud. I should try to go back and look at all my old Venus books.
Yeah, yeah. And torture yourself.
I know.
But to me, it's keeping track of your books, whether you use an app like COZ, or I know people who have a notebook and they keep track manually in the notebook. It really helps you understand. Well, first of all, what are you missing, but also what do you have, and more importantly, what do you have extras of? Because John and I, we not only do we collect books, but we also sell them. So we want to keep track of the books that are available. So in general, I have a largish collection. Let's say I don't have 50,000 books or anything. I don't even have 10,000 books, but I have a decent quantity of books. And I try to keep my personal collection separate from my stock so that I know if I reach into a box, if it's not my PC, it's available for sale.
Mm.
And I don't have to worry about selling something that I really wanted to keep in the long run. My older personal collection goes in long boxes. I have kind of like a cold storage where I put books that were from my collection from, the 1980s. I've got my full run of Alpha Flight and Peter Parker, which aren't really necessarily valuable, but they are a part of my personal collection. And those, I don't go through those very often, so they sit in long boxes on my shelf. And then I keep uh, and those are sorted by the title. So I have all my Alpha Flights and such in one group. Then I have some more long boxes that I use to keep track of books that are unsorted. So I'll keep like A through D, where I'll have the books that start with that in that box. If I'll drop them in with the intent of sorting them later into a particular long storage box. Or sometimes you get some of these short run limited series or one shots that don't really belong anywhere, and they typically end up staying in there. And sometimes books go, they'll stay in there for the PC, or they'll come out and go into one of my stock boxes where I keep the books that I'm going to sell. And those are typically, I have a bunch of these BCW black plastic short boxes, which are excellent. They're my favorite short boxes. And I'll keep my stock in there, and I'll sort them by. I've got a box for DC stuff and Independence, and I have a box for Marvel stuff, and I'll put books in there so that when I'm preparing for a live sale, I'll go to one of those boxes and be able to pull out books that I think are relevant or books that I think people are interested in, and I'll have them available. And then I have a separate box that is specifically for those sales, so I can put books in there when they're ready to sell. They've been priced and marked up. They are put in that box, and when we do the sale, I can just put them on the shelf or on my table where I do the sale, and I can pull them out as necessary. So there's a lot of organization, and there's also a lot of room for let's just say creativity in the process, because I try very hard to keep organized, but sometimes it's difficult, especially when you are pulling books for a particular purpose. For example, submitting a book to CGC. That can be a whole process for me. While I'll have the raw books, I always press the books before they go to CGC. So I have to have a separate area for books that are ready to be pressed. These are books that are candidates. I think I'm going to submit them. So here they are. So they're pulled out of the rest of the collection so that they are organized. And then as I press them, they go from the ready to send to CGC to pressed and ready. And that particular pile at any time, if I want to send, I typically send books into CGC 10 at a time. I can grab the 10 most relevant for that time, submit them all, and know that they're all pressed and ready to go. That process has been really lax recently because of the huge delays that CGC has. At one point last week, it was up to 200 days for
I don't think that's the case anymore. I mean, I've got my last submissions back pretty timely, and I see lots of people posting that they're getting stuff in a quick turnaround.
Their website still says, if you look at their turnaround time, they're still saying 150, 200, not 200 days anymore, but still it's a significant amount of time to get your books back. And until they change their website, let's put it another way. I've got a book that's been in there since July 23rd.
Wow.
But all it needed to have is it had a wrong label. So all it needed was a reholder. Didn't need to be graded. Nope. Right. All they got to do is crack the old case, change the label, put in a new case, and send it back to me. It's still sitting in schedule for grading.
Yikes.
So, I hear that, I'm happy that you're getting books back faster, but, they're still saying 126 days for moderns, 67 for fast tracks, according to their website right this minute, which is less than it used to be. So, maybe there is a change, but I'm not sure I would submit a book that I want to have to sell, for example, in the next 3 months.
Yeah. Well, that sure beats my method, which is throw them on the floor, let God sort them out. No, I'm actually a little better than that. Not much. I'm good with my personal collection of old books. Like when I get something at a convention or through mail call or something like that, I'm pretty good about getting it where it needs to be. It's every week, my modern books that I come back from the LCS with, they're just like, they're stacking up in like just a modern box to be bagged and boarded and assorted. And I just, it's time management. It's bad right now.
It is bad. I buy from the LCS because I like to support the LCS, but I also buy from online vendors like Tales from Another World, which is at tfaw.com. It's a great site because you can have them send you your books. You can put some search terms in and they'll pick all the books that match that search term, and they'll bag and board them for you when they send them to you. Okay. So, they come in and they immediately can go into my sorting boxes because they're bagged and boarded. It's it takes a little discipline, and I admit that I fall behind when you get like the last stack that I got from my LCS, which is about $40 worth of books, still sitting there on the shelf because I've been busy. I've been doing other things that didn't have the time. But eventually I will be able to sort those and put them away.
Life gets in the way,
Yep. And one other thing I also keep Reggie collects. He calls something a Oshuga box. And that is a box of all the valuable books that are in one box. So if some emergency happens, you can grab that one box and be able to take it without having to hunt and search for your books that you consider valuable. So I do have one short box, one of those black BCW short boxes that has all my Fantastic Fours and my Ultimate Fallout collection, all the books that are important to me and are valuable. They're all in one box so that I can easily grab it if something, flood or what have you.
And where is that box located? Address?
Actually, yes. Let me give you the address. And I have a vicious Tinker Cat.
That's true.
Will protect my collection, so I'm not worried about it.
Well, what do you guys do? How do you organize your collection? Let us know. I could use some tips. I'm bad, Richard. Bad job. I need some work on that. But let's move on to our next segment, which every week it's a struggle for me to come up with a segue. I know I haven't organized my books in more than 25 years, Richard.
Oh, okay, John.
That must mean it's time for the 25-year rule. All right. It's the age-old dilemma when you're a kid. Marvel versus DC. DC versus Marvel. I love Marvel. I love DC. Well, DC stands for dumb comics. Marvel's stupid. And we grow up and we get over it, right? Wrong. This week in the 25-year rule, we go back to 1996, where these childhood playground fights became reality with the miniseries DC versus Marvel #1.
Yeah, and the series is about two godlike brothers, one that personifies the DC universe and one that personifies Marvel, and they become aware of each other, and they challenge each other to a series of duels between superheroes from each universe, with the losing universe ceasing to exist. In the stories, they have something called an out of universe component that allows fans to actually vote on the outcome of these battles.
This was a big deal. The comics industry was in the toilet at this time, and they needed to generate some excitement. This is obviously pre-Joe Quesada era, because this will never happen now. It's obviously pre-Disney, pre-Warner. Well, Warner was still owning DC then, but for definitely DC and Marvel would not be able to do this today with the different corporate overlords. But you had matchups that were decided by the fans, air quotes. They seem to be pretty evenly split. And what was the most egregious outcome? I think it was Storm versus Wonder Woman that got everybody upset.
Well, once Storm won that because Wonder Woman wanted a fair fight, and Storm just basically hit her with lightning over and over and over again until she won.
Storm's the leader of the Morlocks, man. They don't fight fair. She's got Callisto Shiv, she's got lockpicks in her headdress. Come on.
That's right.
Storm does not fight fair. So maybe that is the correct outcome for that one. I remember Batman versus Captain America. Okay. You did not have the usual fight until it's a draw and then they team up. This had actual winners. And boy, I remember online forums were very early in their embryonic stage, and people were up in arms over some of these matchups.
I know Namor versus Aquaman, I thought was a logical matchup. Aquaman eventually winning it by throwing a whale on top of Namor and pinning him to the ground. Superman versus the Hulk, Thor versus Captain Marvel. And one of the ones I thought was a cool matchup is Wolverine versus Lobo.
Yeah, I think Lobo put a cigar out in his eye. No? Did that not happen? That should have happened. Now, this ended up leading into the Amalgam universe, which we've talked about many times, including one of my favorite titles, Lobo the Duck, but we won't get into that today. We're talking about the actual first issue of this miniseries. And Richard, I'm looking here at the CGC census. Wow, there is a Signature Series 10.
Yes, there is a Signature Series 10 that is signed by Stan Lee.
Aw.
I cannot imagine what the value of that book if it came to market today. This is a book from 1996. It's a 10.
Yeah.
That's just fantastic. There's some 9.9s available as well. There's 216 9.8s out of 346 books. So again, it's very top heavy in terms of 9.8s. The GPA for this book is $138 for the 90-day. The last sale, which was this month, was $120. Also be forewarned. The series is DC versus Marvel for issue #1. If you're looking for issues 2 through 4, they're Marvel versus DC for those issues. I'm not sure why.
I think it was every other issue.
Oh, was it every other issue? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting. There are 11 different matchups. We've only mentioned a few of them here, some of the more interesting ones. But yeah, if you get an opportunity to read it, I think it's an interesting story. And like John says, you get some conclusions to these battles as opposed to just draws for all of them.
And there are newsstand versions of this out there as well, because this was sold on newsstands. So keep an eye out for those UPCs and you might find one. And, you know, the ultimate winner of this was Marvel, of course. Okay, moving on to
we have some real DC fans out there. So
I just like poking the bear all the time. Time for our underrated books of the week. I've got one that I don't think any of you have. If you do, let me know. It'll be surprising to see. I'd love to see it. That is Lana Comics number 4.
Wow.
Now, this is a timely comics teen title from 1949. Nothing too special about it. I mean, you know, they did a billion of these teen titles like Nellie the Nurse and Millie the Model and, you know, Arnie the Accountant. I don't know. But this issue, number 4, features a Venus story. Just a random 4-page Venus story in the middle of Lana Comics number 4. Now, I did a little research. Venus was a bi-monthly title, which means it comes out every other month. Mm-hmm. And there was a 4-month gap for some reason between Venus number 3 and Venus number 4. This issue and this story fits right in the middle of that gap, exactly in the middle. So wow. I don't know if there was a production issue getting issue 4 out on time, and so they had an extra inventory story and they threw it in here for some reason. Who knows? There are only 4 copies of this book on the CGC census, which is insanely low for a Venus title from the Golden Age, because Venus is such a well sought after title by many people, many fans of good girl art. And to have only 4 copies of this is insane. 2 of them are tied for the highest graded at 7.0. There's a 4.5. I think mine's probably about a 4.5. The last sale was in August of this year for a 4.5 that went for a whopping $84. Insanely low. That is a steal, I think. I think this is one of those books, again, that people just aren't aware of. If people knew there was a Venus appearance in this book, I think it would be worth a lot more. There is also a 2-page Venus story in a late issue of Marvel Mystery Comics. I believe it's issue 92. Also has a Venus story. So if you are a Venus fan, these are 2 more you need to add to your list.
So does this mean you're ramping up your Venus collection again?
I have been. I've gotten a few actual Venus issues from live sales. This is one I did not sell in the big Venus purge of 2011. I actually held on to this one and the Marvel Mystery Comics one. So I didn't get rid of everything because they weren't worth a lot. So it didn't make sense to sell them at the time, whereas the Venus ones at the time were worth a lot. They're worth a lot more now, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, I'm definitely building up my Venus collection again. So if anybody has a Venus 19 out there for, $1,000, throw it my way. What you got?
My choice is, let's just say it's a personal favorite of mine. I am a huge fan of the movie Scott Pilgrim versus the World. If you have not seen it and you're a comic book fan, do yourself. I envy you, because you will be able to approach this movie without having seen it 800 times like I have. It is an excellent movie for comic book fans, fans of video games, fans of pop culture. It's just a really fun movie. A lot of people who have seen the movie may not know that it's actually based on a comic book series. And one of the issues of the comic book series is a hard to find free comic book day issue. It's called Free Scott Pilgrim from 2006 from Oni Press, and it is a cool read. Again, it's if you've never seen the comics, there are a number of anthologies available. There's actually, they separate them into different volumes. You can go out and pick up those volumes. The art style is very unique. It's written well. If you like the movies, I'm sure you'll like the comics as well. This particular book is a short story. It's not a very long book, being a free comic book day. But it has an important plot point that if you've seen the movie, You know that Scott Pilgrim, who is the antagonist for the movie, the main character, he doesn't fight girls. There's a battle where he's fighting one of his love interest's exes, who happens to be a woman, and he can't fight her. And so what happens is Ramona, who's the love interest, comes up behind him, grabs his arms and legs, and kicks his feet to make him kick, and punches with his arms, and basically fights her ex using Scott Pilgrim's body. It's a really funny scene, and that scene, that action of fighting originated from this Free Comic Book Day book. This book came out 4 years before the movie. The movie came out in 2010. And so I think they incorporated different elements of the series, including this book, as a part of the plot for the movie. Great. Like I said, if you like the movie, you will really enjoy the comic book series. And this is a great way of getting into it. But like I said, it's kind of hard to find. If you come across this book in a in a dollar bin or any comic book convention, this is a definite pickup for me. There are only 4 books on the census right now, of which only one is a 9.8. So it's going to be tough to come by. The only sale that's on GPA is a 7.5 for $100. So it's rare, it's hard to come by, but they're out there. As a Free Comic Book Day book, I'm sure there's quantities of it out there. I don't know if people necessarily understand, its significance in the Scott Pilgrim storyline. So pick it up if you find it. Let me know. Show us pictures if you come across it. This is one of those books I really want to see in the wild.
I've never seen the movie. I know.
You're kidding me.
I've never seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World. You're really going to kill me when I tell you I've never seen Ready Player One.
Okay, that is fine. That movie is terrible. The book is. I love the book. The movie is horrible. But you have to see it. You, Mr. Pop Culture himself, has to see this book. It is done in a style that is reminiscent of comic books. The way they frame the movie, and it's just amazing. It was not a critical success necessarily when it came out, but it's turned into a cult movie, and I see it at least once, twice a year.
Richard, I have to prioritize my time, said the guy who just finished watching the entire season of RuPaul's Drag Race Holland.
Oh, God. All right. I am going to put it to you, and I will have the rest of the listeners here put it to you.
Okay.
To watch the movie. It is worth the time.
All right. Well, I have my homework. You guys have your homework. Make sure you follow us at Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. Don't miss out. We have lots of stuff in between episodes, and we're going to have a bonus episode later this week, and make sure you join us for that. And until then, thank you, Richard. I'll catch you later, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Stay safe.